All right, and I want to move myself just on my screen quickly. All right, friends. So again, as I said, welcome to the session on Eat the Frog, or Eat that frog, eating the live frog, however you want to call it. Now, I'm sure that you are all familiar with the term eat that frog, and you have a pretty good idea of what it means. Just do yourself a favor and don't Google eat that frog. That is terrible. It's terrible to Google eat that frog because you're going to come across some terrible stuff. But the term was coined by Brian Tracy, and he actually wrote a book on Eat That Frog. It's actually a pretty cool little book. I have it here with me. If you can see the screen, Eat That Frog. It's a very, very nice little read. It's about 150 pages, quite a cute little practical book, but it has such true business principles in it. And Brian Tracy is one of the world's leading authorities on time management, business planning, business success, productivity, and we can definitely listen to what Brian Tracy said. So let's just look at a few things that we can consider. If I ask you today, would you like to double your productivity? You are welcome in the chat box to tell me if you would like to double your productivity. Just a yes or a no. And if you don't comment, there's no obligation of you to comment. You don't have to feel bad if you don't leave a comment. You are welcome just to let me know if you would like to double your productivity. Obviously, doubling our productivity should probably lead to doubling a lot of things. It will double just in real estate, if you are a sales or rental agent, it will probably increase your listings quite substantially. It will increase your sales. It will increase your income. All of those things just by doubling your productivity. And don't we all just feel that we want to feel more productive? So if I ask you, if you consider these top achievers, on the screen, you have the legendary Michael Jordan that played for the Bulls. On the screen, you have Natalie du Toit, our Paralympic athlete, our top swimmer, our Springbok swimmer, Natalie du Toit. On the screen, you have Nozuko Zitoti from Harcourts Mercantile in East London. All top achievers. And they are massively productive people. We know that we all have 24 hours in each day, but how is it that some people just manage to get more done out of every day? How is it that some people just have the ability to have more listings, just be able to get more out of their day, just being more productive, and the results show in that productivity of those individuals? So I just want to share with you this little video on eating that frog. So I'm going to go onto YouTube, and I'm going to play you this little video.
Here's a little food for thought. There's an old saying that says, if the first thing you do when you wake up each morning is eat a live frog, nothing worse can happen for the rest of the day. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty safe assumption. Well, Brian Tracy has said that your frog should be the most difficult task on your things to do list. The one you're most likely to procrastinate on. Because if you eat that first, it'll give you energy and momentum for the rest of the day. But if you don't, if you let him sit there on the plate while you do 100 unimportant things, it can drain your energy, and you won't even know it. William James, one of the founders of modern psychology, said this: procrastination is attitude's natural assassin. There's nothing so fatiguing as an uncompleted task. So, with that said, here's your assignment for the next 30 days. Take a look at your list. Circle the frog. Eat that first, and you'll thank us for it.
Right, so friends, let me bring up my little video. So eating that live frog. I wonder how many of you actually, let me just get that presentation back on the screen. If you can again in the chat box, tell me a yes or a no if you are in a process, in a sequence of actually identifying on a daily basis what those big live frog activities are that would sit there on your to-do list on a daily basis, whatever that might be, whether that is just planning, whether that is doing your prospecting calls, whether that is to return a phone call to someone. How are you good? Let's say if you just reply with a yes, are you in a habit of eating that live frog first thing every day? Or do you procrastinate on that? Do you allow that to sit there, to look at you? You know that it's there all the time. You're going to come to it, but it's in the back of your mind. It's really draining your energy, as this little video said. Where do you find yourself on prioritizing your task and really committing to eating that frog first thing in the morning so that you can get it out of the way, so that that energizes you and that gives you momentum for the rest of your day? Where do you find yourself in that? So once you've left me your comment in the chat box, I'm going to start a poll because I'm also just curious. These are anonymous replies. I'm going to pop a few questions to you, and let's see how it goes. This is the first time that I'm going to run a little poll, and I hope it works well. So I'm going to allow all the panelists to vote, and I'm going to launch this poll. And the questions will come through to you, so you can just see how it goes. I'm just going to minimize that. So friends, as we go along, the questions should pop up on the screen. But let's have a chat about procrastination. I'm sure if I ask you today, do you ever procrastinate? Who doesn't procrastinate, right? I mean, it's impossible. It's not humanly possible not to procrastinate. But we know procrastination is not getting us closer to our objective. It's not getting closer to our goal. If we can sit and procrastinate for hours at end, and that is not bringing us closer to our goal, it really is just taking us away from our objective. And that is the trouble, isn't it? Is to be productive, we have to identify the things that we need to do and work towards them. Apply ourselves in such a manner that we are spending our time wisely towards our goals. We cannot afford to procrastinate. And if we look at a different definition of procrastination, it says that it's an habitual or intentional delay of starting or finishing a task despite knowing it might have negative consequences. Our thinking brain, remember last week we spoke about the two passengers, or actually 2 weeks ago, the two passengers that we all have in our consciousness cars. We have what we call the feeling brain, our feeling brains, and we have what we call our thinking brains. So despite knowing that if we procrastinate, it will have negative consequences, our feeling brain is still behind the steering wheel of our car, while our thinking brain is navigating our car, isn't it? Remember, we said that our feeling brain is driving our car while our thinking brain is navigating our car. Now, our feeling brain, all of us are so emotionally driven. We are such unique and complex and intrinsic individuals, each with our own voices in our own heads, our own realities, our own hormonal balances and imbalances and things that provide us joy, etc. So we all just have all these emotions. And if we think that our thinking brain is guided by, or our thinking brain is all about having those maps, you know, from collating all those maps from knowledge and experience over this year. So our thinking brains actually know what is best for us, but still our thinking brain does not really have the ability to hold the steering wheel. It is our emotions that hold the steering wheel. So we have to understand and acknowledge our emotions. We have to be able to identify our emotions when they come up. And, you know, if we talk about procrastination, as these emotions come up, we have to identify them. But then we should have the ability to influence our feeling brain. Our thinking brain should have the ability, almost in a way, to influence the feeling brain in such a way where our thinking brain reminds our feeling brain of the benefits. What are the benefits associated to not procrastinating? and not to get stuck on things that are not moving us forward, whatever that might be for you. So just again, a reminder of the way that our thinking brains can influence our feeling brains. It is by understanding why we're doing what we're doing. It's understanding your whys. Why are you in business? Why do you want to make the money? Why do you need to list those properties? Why do you need to sell the properties? What are you looking to spend that money on? What is the life that you're looking to live? What is the lifestyle that you're looking to have? What are those things that you need to acquire? Who are those people that you need to provide for, etc.? All those whys. Why do you need to earn the money? And also, if our thinking brains can identify those feel-good things that we can give ourselves a reward, so that we can feed that feeling brain. It's almost that short, instant gratification. And then also to have an accountability partner. But this is just to recap what we said about 10 days ago. So guys, have a look at this. Again, some of you might have come across this, you might have seen this, but the non-procrastinator's brain holds the steering wheel, and we all have a rational decision-making capability in us. So let's say your rational decision-making brain, your thinking brain, let's say it's holding the steering wheel. And I do things that make sense. I think long-term, I'm not a child. So this is the non-procrastinator. But again, you know, it's so difficult. It's so difficult because we all have that instant gratification monkey in our brains, isn't it? So the rational decision maker might still say, I have the same purpose as the guy in the buff drawing. We are the same. But are we really? So this is the procrastinator's brain. And the instant gratification monkey challenges now your rational decision-making brain's ability. Where you think this is the perfect time to get some work done, your instant gratification monkey says, no. We are going to do some other fun things first now. This is not time to work. This is not time to plan. Let's do some other fun things. So as you can see, that feeling brain taking control, that instant gratification monkey is that feeling brain inside of us. So the instant gratification monkey starts to grab the steering wheel away from the rational decision maker. Let's watch a bunch of YouTube videos on creatures of the deep sea, and then go on a YouTube spiral that takes us through Richard Feynman talking about string theory, and ends with us watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom. Doesn't that sound like fun? Who wants to work? I mean, who wants to work? We know doing the things that we're supposed to be doing today, but that can happen later. You know, that can happen. We have enough time today to do all those things. Let's just feed that instant gratification monkey. Researchers also say that instant gratification monkey is also our desire to numb certain emotions. Whatever those emotions are, whether it's fear or uncertainty, or just a lack of self-confidence, whatever it is that it is we are looking for ways to numb that, to take it away, to feel better in the moment, because we need to feel better right now. It's very difficult to delay the gratification, to know that if I'm going to be making my prospecting calls or spend half an hour strategically on social media because I know that I want to post a few Harcourts business-related posts, not to spend an hour and a half on Facebook just scrolling through my timeline, but really going in for half an hour with a strategy, with a plan, and coming out again. That rational decision-making capability is overridden by our desire to just feel good for the moment. You guys absolutely relate with this, because that's also my reality. You know, we're all challenged by this on a daily basis. So the procrastinator's brain continues to say, by then it will be 2 p.m. and we have an appointment at 4:30. So it will be too late to really start any work at that point. So now at this point, that instant gratification monkey is really, really holding that steering wheel. And you're trying to say, but you know, I need to take control of this. But that monkey is really, really holding that steering wheel. The only thing that the instant gratification monkey is really fearful of is the panic monster. The panic monster. So when does the panic monster set in? Obviously, it's different for different people. But the reality that we have as real estate professionals is that we don't have a deadline. We don't really, really have a deadline if you think about it. I'll be interested to know what your thoughts are on deadlines. But if you were an employee of a company where you had to have an assignment delivered by a certain time, then you have a deliverable date, or date that item needs to be delivered. Or if you're a student, and you have a paper or an assignment to be submitted on Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock, that's your deadline. But for us as entrepreneurs, we're so reliant on the deadlines that we set for ourselves, that is so difficult. It's critically important, but it's so difficult for that panic monster to set in. The panic monster sets in when we realize, oh my goodness, I have nothing in the pipeline. I have no stock coming in. I'm sold out. I've run around with my buyers on my existing listing so much that I'm at a point now where I have nothing on my showroom floor. I'm completely sold out. So now the panic sets in, because I know if I don't have any stock, I have no business, right? The panic monster sets in when there's no money coming in. If you know that, my word, in the next 3 months, I'm not expecting any registrations, that's a panic monster that sets in there. But if I start only now, to build up my stock levels again and to get the wheel rolling again, it's another 2-3 months before the money comes in. So it's the whole thing of, we got to be so consistent. That is why the consistency in our profession is so critically important. Is we cannot afford for the panic monster to be delayed. We got to be almost in crisis mode all the time. It's said in a good way, not in a bad way. But so the panic monster comes in, and everything is in mayhem now. The panic monster says, "Yeah!" and the monkey behind the wheel goes crazy because he's so fearful of the panic monster. And your rational decision brain, you freak out, you go crazy, and like I said, the whole show is just it's just a circus, And before you know it, your instant gratification monkey flees into the trees, and you take hold of the steering wheel again, because now you know if you don't act, if you don't take control of the wheel now, it's game over. It's game over. It's not going to work for you. You're out of here. So maybe in your journey, in your process, keep these things in mind. Keep your rational decision-making capability in mind with your instant gratification monkey. And then when that monkey comes and sits on your shoulder, identify it, see that it sits there, and you got to make a plan. You got to get that monkey off your shoulder. You got to identify that panic monster right here, right now, and get that monkey away from the show, so that you can focus and so that you can concentrate. So part of that is eating that frog. Eat that frog. And the concept, as we all know, I mean, as you're listening to this, all of you have such an incredible wealth of life experience and knowledge. There's nothing that I can tell you about these basic life principles. You know it better than I do, but it's just good to remind ourselves of these things each and every day. In my 7 wonderful, wonderful years with Harcourts and working with so many consultants around the different regions, I really we really see that planning and prioritizing tasks is one of the areas of our business where so many of our colleagues fall short. So many of our colleagues fall short. And if we know that if we fail to plan, we can plan to fail. If we fail to plan, we can plan to fail. It's just as simple as that. Sorry, let me turn my phone's volume off, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so we got to start our day with the biggest, most important, and most dreaded tasks. Because as we've said now, eating that frog is all about that. Planning, identifying what those most dreaded tasks could be. Those most important tasks, important and dreaded, because it's not all dreaded. Obviously, all the important tasks are not dreaded tasks, but it's just so critically important that we do that. Sorry, I have a colleague of Harcourts South Africa that's coming onto the screen now, onto the platform. So guys, so that is really what I want to say to you, is that your most important and most dreaded task, we've got to identify what those things are and work with that. So how do we do it? How is it that we can identify those tasks? We got to prioritize our tasks. We really have to go through the exercise of prioritizing our tasks. I just want to pause here for one moment. All right, guys, I'm back with you. Sorry about that. We just have a little bit of had an overlap of on our Zoom account, but I'm back with you. So, how do we prioritize our tasks? That's the key thing that I would like to look with you real quick today. Have you ever considered? Last time when we spoke, we looked at the different elements, obviously, or the different periods that we strategize and plan. We know that we got to do quarterly planning. We know that we actually have to do a plan for the year. Isn't that so? Any entrepreneur, any business person cannot afford not to have a long-term plan. Really to know what is my direction, what is my intention, where am I taking this business over the medium term, whether that is 6 to 12 months. But then we break it down into quarters, we break it down into months, we break it down into weeks. But then, obviously, we really do our daily planning. So that is what we want to focus on today, is the daily planning, is how focused and how committed are we to our daily planning. Have you ever considered the ABCDE method? You might be familiar with it, you might not be familiar with it. Again, it comes out of this little book of Eat That Frog. And Brian Tracy also talks quite a bit about this in his videos. So if you want to YouTube ABCDE, Prioritizing of Tasks by Brian Tracy, you'll be able to watch a short little video of that. But what he suggests is that your A tasks are your must-do tasks that you do yourself. So if you think of today, and you think of what are those tasks that I must do today, I cannot finish off the day if these tasks are not done today, whatever they might be. And for a sales professional or a rental professional, those are going to be different things. But let's say for a sales agent, those are your prospecting calls or your prospecting activity or lead generation or a very important conversation that you have to have with a person. Or on the rental side, it is obviously if you have to do certain inspections today, if it's month end and you do your outgoing and your ingoing inspections, those are must-do activities. Those are high priority activities. We cannot afford not to do that. And most of the time, these are tasks that we have to do ourselves. We cannot delegate them to anyone else. We cannot automate them. They have to be done by ourselves. And if you have a few of these A tasks, then you can make it A1, A2, A3. That's how you can categorize or how you can list them. Then if we look at our B tasks, these are should-do tasks. So I should do these following things. I should be checking my emails. I should be returning certain phone calls today, but they are not as important as the must-do tasks. If they don't happen today, it might not be the end of the world. We don't necessarily want to let them stand over until tomorrow, but if they do, it's not going to be the end of the world. But they don't carry the priority as the A tasks. They are the should-do tasks, the B tasks. Then the C tasks are nice to do tasks. That might be you're going to have lunch with a colleague to strategize, but they are not as important as your B's and your A's. So these are your nice to do tasks. Then we have what we call our D tasks, tasks that we can delegate to someone. What are those tasks for you? Remember, we have spoken about dollar productive and non-dollar productive activity. We have certain activities that have to happen during the daytime hours where we can actually have a conversation with a client, where we can make a phone call, where we can meet with people. Again, certain things that we have to do ourselves, but then also within those hours, there are certain tasks that we can delegate to other people. And we need to identify what those tasks are that we can possibly delegate to other individuals. And many of those things are sometimes admin-oriented tasks. Those are things like putting a listing presentation together or putting a list of people that I need to contact, putting that together. If I can delegate that task to someone else to tell that person, I want to be contacting 10 people in this street in my specialist area tomorrow. Will you please pull me a list of homeowners in that area? I delegate that task to that individual instead of spending half an hour to try and find those names of that individual. If you have a person in your office that you can delegate certain tasks to, or a colleague, or a personal assistant, or whoever that person might be, then it would be really, really good for you in terms of your productivity to delegate certain tasks then to those individuals. And then we come to the E tasks. If you have put down a task on your diary or on your to-do list that you can actually eliminate. And what does that mean? By eliminating a task, I'm going to read for you what what Brian Tracy says here in eliminating tasks. An e-task is defined as something that you can eliminate altogether, and it won't make any real difference. This may be a task that was important at one time, but is no longer relevant to you or anyone else. Right, so those could be tasks that you can eliminate, and really be critical about these things. Think to yourself, what are those e-tasks, that I can eliminate completely? And if we prioritize our tasks in such a way, A, B, C, D, E, guys, I'm sure that you will have written down all the things that you know that you need to do today, and you'll have found a priority of the things that you need to do first. Eat that frog first, get it out of the way, and then have time for your B's and your C's. And we just churn it out. And that's the beauty of planning, isn't it? Is once we have written it down, or once you have it in your electronic planner or your electronic diary, whatever works for you, and you can see it, that's the critical thing, is you got to be able to see it. You got to be able to look at it. And that makes you productive because it makes you focused. If that is not there, we know that the reality of not planning, it removes the ability to have something to go back to. And our real challenge in this profession, and what I often hear from our team members, is that we don't plan because it never works out that way. We plan and we but then something happens, and it's actually a waste of time because I plan, but it never works out that way. That's true. It's not true that it never works out that way, but it is true that things come our way that were unplanned and unscheduled, and we have to address that. But to have a roadmap, to have that plan, which is your roadmap, to bring you back onto track, to bring you back, to make you focused again, that is so critically important. If we don't have that, and if we carry everything in our heads, I think that we can quite easily become overwhelmed, and we just feel, oh, I'm drowning in all these things that I'm carrying in my head. I feel totally overwhelmed. I feel so busy. I don't know where I'm going to fit these things into. You become, what's the word I'm looking for? Become very anxious. It really adds to your anxiousness levels, or your anxious levels and your stress levels. But if we have a plan, if we take half an hour a day and we plan and we prioritize our plans, we have something to work with. Isn't that so? We have a roadmap. We have something to bring us back on track. But I want to encourage you to consider the SMART goal setting. You're all familiar with SMART. SMART, S being specific. Being specific, what are those things that you want to achieve? Got to have them as measurable. Not all, obviously all your tasks every day will be measurable. But you got to, if I'm saying I want to make 10 prospecting calls, then I can measure that. But really the one that I'm working towards is the relevance. Why is this goal important to you? Does this goal help add to your plans for the future? If you can understand the relevance of those goals and the tasks that you're doing, then that will feed your sense of why, connecting with your why on a daily basis. Again, knowing why am I doing these things? Why do I need to do these things? Guys, I'm honestly of the opinion, and I think that all of you will probably share that, is if we are not connecting on a daily basis with why are we doing what we're doing, and why do we want to earn the income, those types of things, then we're not going to have reason. We're not going to have enough motivation and drive to plan. We might as well then we might just be flying by the seat of our pants. And we're not going to have a structured approach. But we always say that this is a business by design. It's not a business by default. It doesn't just automatically happen. You got to design it. You got to plan it. But you got to be connected to those whys. Isn't that so? You got to be connected to those whys. And we know that it requires daily discipline. We have to practice daily discipline to do these things. Willpower, the ability to resist short-term gratification in pursuit of long-term goals or objectives. How is your willpower today? Your feeling brain might be like in total control at the moment, and your thinking brain might just be sitting in that back seat, not knowing where the hell are we going. But we got to take control. There's no way else that we're gonna get through this uncertain time. Is we got to take control, and we got to navigate. We got to navigate. We got to plan. We got to really put in the effort. We got to exercise willpower, that ability to resist that short-term gratification in pursuit of long-term goals or objectives. So to double your productivity, you cannot afford not to plan well. It's as simple as that. You cannot afford not to eat that frog. You cannot afford not to prioritize your tasks. That goes for all of us. I'm obviously challenged by that as the same as you on a daily basis. Looking at my tasks, looking at my priorities, and really it challenges all of us. But we cannot be as productive as we want to be if we don't plan well. You can do it. You can eat that frog. We know that you can eat that frog. But daily planning is about developing a new skill. If you find yourself today not planning well, I'm going to look at those poll results. Let me see if I can bring up those poll results. You say, do you commit to daily planning? Sometimes. 69% says sometimes. 31% says yes, every day. Very good. About 30% of you daily planning. When do you do daily planning? First thing in the morning. 46% says the evening before, and 24% as the day progress. And what type of diary do you use? I see that 73% of you still use a paper or a physical diary, and 27% use a digital or an electronic diary. Okay, but so very good going, guys. Very, very good going. But if you just want to step it up even more, or let me rather say, if you are not there yet in terms of believing that planning is going to be critical or is critical for you, it is going to be about developing a new skill. There are some people that actually don't know how to plan, or they're not planning really well. And it's just building on that skill, building a new habit, getting into the habit of planning better. So another question that I would have for you is, who is your accountability partner on this journey? Let's say if you would rate your daily planning and your daily prioritization out of 10, and let's say you're sitting on a 5 out of 10, and you just don't know how to break it, let's say from a 5 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, how to step it up to that next level. You want to make use of an accountability partner in your business. You want to identify that person that can hold you accountable, not to micromanage you, but you can send your weekly planner to that person, maybe your time blocking for the week. So let's say it's the Friday of the week before, and you send your time blocking for the following week on that Friday afternoon to your accountability partner. And then every morning, you send your daily planner and your daily task list and your prioritization to that accountability partner. And if you can stick to this for 2 months, let's say for 60 days, I am sure, I can almost guarantee you that you would have nailed better habits in terms of planning and prioritization. So identify that accountability partner and work with that person. So guys, our time is up. I see it's 25 to 10. Thank you so much just for sharing a few thoughts, spending a few minutes with me this morning on eating that frog. I wish you an awesome day, and I really, I can't wish you anything more than being connected to your whys, being connected to your dreams. Keep believing, keep dreaming, keep pushing towards those dreams, and know that you have the ability to make those dreams a reality by knowing what you need to do on a daily basis, planning well, prioritizing well, and slowly, gradually moving towards those goals, because it's doing a little, a lot, just every day a little, and it's going to get you to your goals. Believe it, but you've got to plan daily. You've got to prioritize daily. It goes for you. It goes for me, for all of us. Guys, we love you. Have an awesome day wherever you are. If there's anything that I can send you, please pop me a little message in this WhatsApp, in this chat box. You are welcome to send me an email to kobus.low@harcourtsa.co.za. And yeah, we are here to help you in any possible way that we can. Thank you for your time. Look after yourself. Have a fantastic week. Have a great week. Chat to you soon. Ciao.